Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our November Tech Talk titled A Classroom Divided, Addressing Digital Equity. My name is Jamie Trujillo, and I will be moderating today's webinar, and our presenter will be Terry Gustafson. Before we get started, please make sure, if you haven't already, to type your name and your program name into the chat box. If you're unable to access the chat box, please feel free to message me on Hangouts, jamie@nmdelt.org, or email me just to let me know that you participated so that you can get credit for your participation. And with that, I will hand it over to Terry.
Hi, welcome to another exciting edition of Tech Talks. In this Tech Talk, we're going to present A Classroom Divided, and we're going to talk about addressing digital equity, presented by me and moderated by Jamie. I had you fill out a form before the webinar to see if your program had addressed any kind of digital equity. And this is actually the results of the live poll. So out of the 100% that answered, and I believe it was about 12 responded, we have 16.7% that said no, they haven't addressed it at all. 16.7 even with no was I don't know. And yes was 66.7. So I'm so glad that somebody has taken the initiative to kind of look into this, because it's a very important topic. Soon the digital divide will not be between the haves and the have-nots. It'll be between the know-hows and the non-know-hows. And I thought this was an appropriate quote for how to kind of like represent this. If you have a cell phone, I'm doing a live poll now. This is similar to the last one, so you can respond by texting poll EV, or online by texting poll online, going to pollev.com, Terry Gustav, and that's SO40, and text 2233 to join. So we're going to see if anybody would like to join the live poll.
And really quickly, just as a clarification, it's actually Terry Gustav S040, because I did try it. Yes, it's a 0.
That's strange, because my name is Gustafson, it's S-O-N, so I just assumed it was an O. Thank you for that clarification. So we're going to just wait a minute or two. A lot of people might respond.
Yes, and there's a little bit of a delay too, so we want to make sure that we give everybody a chance to participate.
Excellent. We got some live respondents here. 50% say we provide access to our program regardless of income, and 50% say we have identified some equity challenges and are working to address them. If you're still having problems going on to the Everyone's On poll, use the chat box and let Jamie know. We'll be moving on.
Yes, you can definitely put your answer in the chat, and I could put your answer into the poll. So maybe we'll just give, oh, look, we got another answer. Awesome.
More. So 67%, regardless of income, provides access to the program. And 33%. So that's a very low number compared to the 100% that have addressed some of the equity challenges. So it's really important to know what the equity challenges are. And the more and more I started researching this, the more I realized, wow, this goes really deep. So we're going to move on to the next slide. So we've heard a lot of digital terms being thrown out there. We might want to talk about what's the difference. So next we're going to look into some basic terms when it comes to digital divide, digital equity, and digital access. So what exactly is digital equity? Equity means equal access to economic, social, and educational opportunities. So it's a condition in which the individuals and communities have information technology capacity needed for full participation in society, democracy, and economy. It's necessary in order to have a civic and cultural participation. It's necessary for employment and lifelong learning. Digital divide. This was the initial term, and all equity has evolved out of this. But the digital divide is the socioeconomic and educational disparity between those people who have opportunities and skills, enabling them to benefit from digital resources, especially the internet. So when we're talking about the internet, we mean high-speed internet access like broadband. So some of us don't have reliable internet access. Some of us might be using Obama phones that are cracked. So this originally was what technology or devices you had and what you were using for internet and how much you could access it. Which brings us to the next thing, the digital access. So there's varying levels now of digital access. And access to technology refers to the level of access to technology and quality digital learning program available for all students. A lot of students, you might want them to get into some learning, mobile learning, and what will happen is they won't have the speed to support the programs that you want to get them into or the apps. This was very interesting. If anybody wants to take a look at this actually is something from 2016. It's called the Digital Divide Index. So we're going to kind of go live so you can see what this looks like. I'm going to click on my, and it's going to take us to this interactive map. It's part of Purdue's Center for Regional Development. We are going to go down to where this map is. Oops. And we're going to show it full screen. I'm playing with my mouse, so it's messing up. View map in full screen. Okay, so this is the United States. This is based on the recent census. I believe it was in 2016. And what you can do is you can go to this little compass looking thing over here. And you can zoom in on the location that you're online with right now. So I've actually put a spot here for where Albuquerque is because I'm in Albuquerque. And I can go to that spot and I can see what our digital divide is. So our digital divide score in this case is made up of different things, two different scores. One score is the socioeconomic score called the SE. And you can see down there it's 26.71. And the other score that's used is the infrastructure score. We have a high infrastructure score compared to our SE score. You can use the legend up here. And it will show you that the darker blue areas are the ones that are going to have the greatest divide. The divide is scored from 0 to 100, so 38.33 is not so bad. Here you can see what makes up these digital scores. The socioeconomic score is made up of, I believe, the average download speeds and upload speeds in the population that has access to broadband. The other score, which is the infrastructure score, is made up of this kind of population, like people who are age 65 and older, people who have less than a high school degree, poverty has to do with disability, and also includes anybody in corrections. And these are the most vulnerable, actually, when it comes to the digital divide. So you can go anywhere on this map to look and see your particular area. The homework gap. In efforts to supply schools with a high-speed internet access, we've done really good. We've improved a lot. But the use of technology when it comes to instruction has resulted in this new emerging thing called the homework gap. It mainly impacts low-income people and people in rural areas and can add to the existing inequalities that we have right now. So how does this gap occur? And why does it make it so difficult for people to do homework? I found a video that kind of illustrates the whole thing. So we're going to watch this and you'll see.
3279.
That is correct.
How did you know this?
Welcome to today's academic challenge. You may only use what's on your table. There will be 3 rounds, and the questions will get harder. What is the largest animal living today? Team A.
Blue whale.
Team B.
Blue whale.
That is correct. What is the square root of 144?
12. 12.
Correct again?
India.
India. Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
William
William
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
Correct. We are tied. For round 2, we're going to give both teams some additional resources.
Okay.
Who was the first president to live in the White House?
John Adams.
That is correct.
Oh my God.
What does the acronym LCD stand for?
Wow. Right?
Liquid crystal display.
Correct.
How did they do this?
Go with it. Just go with it.
Sargasso Sea.
That's correct.
8 minutes and 20 seconds.
Correct.
Samuel Morse.
Correct.
Denver, Colorado. Santa Fe, New Mexico, and Salt Lake City, Utah.
That is correct. Let's pull back the curtain.
Are you kidding me? That's so not cool. Okay, I'm offended that they had such an unfair advantage. It was way too fast.
Please have your team captain open the envelope on the table.
70% of teachers assign homework requiring access to the internet, and yet 5 million households with school-aged children do not have high-speed internet service at home. That just puts 5 million other people at a disadvantage, which is not okay.
Nearly 50% of students say they have been unable to complete a homework assignment because they did not have access to the internet or computer.
I didn't know that the percentage was so high. Everything he does is in the computer. So if he didn't have access to it, he wouldn't have a chance.
Terry, I
Someone
just
may
wanted to
not
let you know
play
that
it,
this
may not.
Sorry. Okay, so
lagging quite a bit at this point.
it was lagging. Okay, so we're done with that anyway. So this kind of opened my eyes to what the digital divide is
Because
doing.
they're not
Oops,
smart,
I'm
they
sorry.
just don't have
Let's get out of this.
access to what all the other kids have.
Let's go to the next slide. So this kind of opened my eyes to what some of the discrepancies in the digital divide when we give homework. So you can imagine the students, the quote they had as far as the numbers for the students, well, they have adults living with them. So not only does it make it difficult for the students to complete homework assignments, but think about it, the lack of home internet access also negatively impacts school-parent communication. Everybody has a student website nowadays, so it makes it difficult for parents to support their own children in their educational learning. So here is a document I put in here about some strategies to close the homework gap, and mainly just identifying community homework hotspots is a good idea. Promoting low-cost broadband offerings. For example, having your students go on to Everyone's On, the website that tries to give low-cost internet for people who don't make a lot of money. Deploying hotspots and installing Wi-Fi on school buses, which was my idea. So once users are online, they utilize the internet in different ways. Research shows that privileged groups are more than likely than disadvantaged groups to use the internet to grow their financial and social capital. And what that's creating is a phenomenon that we can call the participation gap. As the new American class starts emerging, it's changing the way that Americans approach their daily lives. So identifying these equity impacts is the first step in kind of helping you make that divide a little less. Becoming familiar with how the digital divide impacts your students. And at the heart of it, what happens is that we have more division in our educational, social, and economic quality. So some of the disparities in use, when you think about it, are civic engagement and what we call e-citizens now. If somebody can get on the internet and what they're getting on for is to stay informed, so these people tend to be more informed and involved with political processes and have more civic capital than their disconnected counterparts. Healthcare. Lots of people get sick. They go online. They read things. They're more informed. So e-patients go online for information and expert opinions and pure information. They come from more like a privileged group or have a higher level of income, and they enjoy the benefits of being better informed about their treatment and care. And education, of course, which we're all in. Low-income parents are less able to keep involved with their children's education. So that is the main disparities when it comes to use. So we're going to play a little game here.
Terry, your mic keeps going in and out. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
It's I can hear you, but I can hear you for a while and then it'll start going out. And it's been doing that a couple of times.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know quite what to do.
That's okay.
I'll keep going, and if it gets bad, let me know. So in your chat box, we're going to turn over some cards here, and each of them will have a statement. So please put M or F in the chat box, and we'll see how much you know. First, we can solve the digital inequality problem by getting everyone a device and internet. Oh, so that you would put an M in, because that's actually a myth. That's not the only way that we can solve the digital divide, as you've seen in the homework gap and when it comes to the participation gap. Let's move on to the next one. We'll see if we get any responses. Number 2, digital inequality has made the divide among our race and class even greater. I'm going to pause a minute to see if anybody would like to put M or F in the chat box. And Jamie, you can let me know.
Because of the delay, they were still answering for question 1, so I'm just waiting. Okay. We got one person. Oh, got a couple. Yep, everybody's saying fact.
That is very much a fact. Good job. Number 3. The gap will close on its own as each generation of youth gets more and more tech savvy.
Give them a few more seconds.
Myth or fact?
Ooh. Got quite a few people saying fact, but a couple people saying myth.
Oh, we got a mix.
So it's about half and half now. We got half and half now. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, let's see what it is. It is a myth. Just because the generation actually older people now are getting more tech savvy. It's not necessarily about tech savviness. It's about what you're on the internet and what you're doing on the internet. If you're using it for information and communication. Next one. Digital inequality deepens social inequality.
To say. Answers are coming in and they say fact.
That is very much a fact. Depending on what you're going on the internet for, if you're going on to play video games, there's a world of information and people out there to communicate with. So it separates us even more when we get into our little areas where we socialize, when we can actually have much more information coming to us. Number 5, the gap will close if only rural communities are brought online through improved broadband penetration.
We don't have them coming in just yet, but okay, here we go. Oh yes, overwhelming myth.
Great job. Like we discussed earlier, it will lessen the gap a little bit, but you really have to teach digital literacy in order for it to be improved. And last one, the teaching and use of technology is a matter of equity and educational opportunity.
Got a couple. Yes, people are saying fact.
That is a fact. As you saw in the video, it's a matter of being fair. We're going to talk a little bit about this next. Oh, it's time to cash in and talk about what would cash do. Unfortunately, I'm out of cash today. Cash will be coming back soon when it's payday. So we will skip that for now. So how do we address this digital inequality as teachers, instructors, and staff? Classes that start integrating digital activities is a good way to increase or decrease the impact of the digital divide. So we must become critical consumers of digital content rather than producers. So this quote fits it all. To address equity through digital learning, your program can help bridge the digital gap by offering both access to devices and opportunities for adults to use technology to become producers rather than the consumers, to put things out there rather than to just take it in. Okay, here are 4 steps to addressing equity through digital learning. Identify how your students are impacted by the digital divide. You want to start there. Maybe survey your students, survey the people around them, see what kind of devices they have, what kind of internet they have, where they use it. Check on research reports and statistics. Secondly, and conduct technology community mapping. Second step, determine strategies. Begin by identifying the most important issues that you have. Third, implementation. Create a plan for your implementation. And then measure how your plan is working. So some of the things you can look at is if there's improved attendance when it comes to online hours, things like that. You also want to be able to focus and step back when you need to change something. So are you ready for the evolving inequalities that we have? As we evolve, we need teachers that are qualified in offering technology-powered opportunities to their students. It's especially crucial to teach digital literacy. And if you need a definition of digital literacy, it's the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, create, and communicate information requiring both cognitive and technical skills. Students should be introduced to digital literacy activities that incorporate social media, or you can try to use technology-based distance education to encourage independent thinking. Staff must be able to use digital tools to support program functions like outreach, student assessment and data management, evaluation and communications. The essential leverage point will always be the well-trained teacher who is curious and learns how to integrate technology in transformative and engaging ways. And what's really interesting, if you've kept up on the research of how many people use the mobile phones, you can see that there was a decrease in broadband at home from 2013 to 2017, I believe that was. And what's happened is they found out that the actually, it was between 2015, I'm sorry. African American students had the highest increase in the use of the mobile phone. So people who are usually less fortunate than others when it comes to money have seen an increase in the use of their smartphones. So kind of targeting your lessons and into the smartphone is a good idea. Making sure they have broadband, of course, or the internet speed to support that is important. Make a plan to address equity through digital learning in your program. Start small if you have to, but make sure you try to do something that will address the digital gap. I'm providing you a link here. This is a Google Doc that you can use. And if you have time, print this out or fill it out and send it back to me. This is actually a first step. It's a good action planning tool. What ideas or strategies will you take from this training? Pick something we learned in this training, maybe a mobile app or some way to integrate digital literacy activities, and then create an action plan for implementing these strategies using the grid. So start small this week and then this month and this program. Involve your community. Access existing community resources. Find out what gaps and needs you have. Engage stakeholders and partners and program directors and develop and execute a plan. If you have any questions, email me here at terry@nmdelp.org or come visit our website at www.nmdelp.org. And as always, thank you for attending. I really appreciate your support. And we're going to open it up to any questions, Jamie, that anybody may have. Go ahead and put them in your chat box.
And we'll give you guys a little bit to put in any questions. We don't have any right now. We did get some feedback that the myth or fact was fun, so they did enjoy that.
I love to. We just had a training from the back of the room. Some of you may have joined that, but we learned a lot of brain-based strategies to keep people involved and engaged and help scaffold learning. So I'm trying to transition some of that into actual, live webinars. So it's a little bit more difficult, but they have apps now on things. So it took about 32 slides just to do that fact and myth thing, which was fun. But feel free to steal from me.
Still no questions. Just some thank yous. Thank you for the information.
We have any announcements, Jamie?
None yet. Aside from Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you have Thanksgiving. Okay. We don't have December's. Oh, we do have the ELA Tech Talk scheduled.
And if you have any requests out there, email me and we can do a Tech Talk next month on whatever it is you want to talk about.
Absolutely. Yes. Please feel free to email Terry, email me. Let us know if there are any burning subjects that you would love to have a webinar on. We will gladly do that.
And can't forget the cowbell. Okay, well, thank you again. And you know where to find me.
Yes, thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your day.